The legislature voted earlier this year to ban school districts from requiring students to wear masks. The Arizona School Boards Association, parents, a teachers union, and a number of others filed a lawsuit challenging that requirement or challenging that policy. And their issue was not so much with the substance of the policy, but with the way that it was enacted. Arizona's constitution says if you want to make a law, you should make sure that each law deals with only one subject and that the title of the law accurately reflects that subject. But this policy was squeezed into the state budget. Legislators have been doing this for years, using the budget as a vehicle to advance policies they may not have the votes to pass otherwise. And the lawsuit argued that that's ultimately unconstitutional, that violates those rules that I was just talking about. And they pointed this out with a number of other policies that were attached to the state budget. Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Catherine Cooper agreed earlier this week. She said the mask law is void. School districts can continue to require students wear masks if that's a policy they've adopted. She also threw out a number of other laws that had been attached to the state budget. Things like curtailing the power of the Secretary of State. Democrat Katie Hobbs, of course, has clashed a lot with Republican legislators. So there were a number of different policies there, and the judge really kind of rebuked the legislature's long-running practice of trying to pile a lot into the budget.
And how is the governor reacting to these decisions made by the judge?
Governor Ducey called this decision overreach. Attorney General Mark Brnovich said they will appeal. But I think this also raises some interesting questions about how the legislature does its business going forward. Like I said, lawmakers have been doing this for years, where a lot is piled into the budget that critics would say doesn't really belong in the budget, that ought to be separate laws. And I think this will be, kind of a question going forward. Does the legislature change its practices? Does it do a little bit more of this work in the open? To be honest, I haven't heard a whole lot of confidence about that because, as one lawyer for the plaintiffs said, the legislators knew what the rules were all along. They just hadn't really been rebuked by a judge like this in the past.
Another controversial, unrelated topic, of course, the election audit of 2020. Final numbers were presented on Friday, September 24th. It seems like ancient history by now, but that was a major development as well.
Yeah, it feels like it's been going on forever, right? I mean, the legislature had contractors working for months in Phoenix recounting each of the 2.1 million or so ballots that voters cast in last year's election there. And the outcome didn't change. Joe Biden, according to this count, also won Maricopa County. He actually picked up more votes than the official tally suggested. But I think the thing to watch going forward is that the report makes a number of different recommendations to lawmakers about how to change Arizona's election laws. And Democrats have said that they kind of anticipated that this was the whole point of the undertaking, or at least one of the points of the undertaking. That is to change how people vote in Arizona. There are going, changes proposed to voting by mail, for example, and that kind of thing. So I think you can expect to hear a lot more about the election review in the coming legislative session and see some fights coming out of this around the future elections in 2022.
Andrew Oxford, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.